Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. Fear is the silent assassin of greatness. It creeps in the dark, whispering that you are not enough, that your dreams are too big, your voice too small, your past too broken. It waits for you to hesitate, and in that moment, it wins. Most people spend their lives negotiating with fear, bowing before it like a god, convincing themselves that survival is enough. But what if survival is not the goal? What if your true destiny is to dominate, to create, to rise, unshackled and unapologetic? This is not a book for the faint-hearted. This is a manifesto for the fearless. The 50th Law isn't just a collection of lessons from a street legend turned cultural icon. It's a declaration of war on fear itself. 50 Cent, born Curtis Jackson, didn't conquer the streets, the music industry, or the boardroom by playing it safe. He did it by embracing the one principle that separates those who merely exist from those who change the game. Fear nothing. What you're holding in your hands is a key, not to comfort, but to power, not to safety, but to supremacy over your circumstances. In a world that wants you to conform, to keep your head down, and to obey the rules, this book is a battle cry to rise above, to rebel with intelligence, to master yourself so completely that fear no longer has a foothold in your life. So the question is simple. Are you ready to stop asking for permission? Are you ready to become who you were meant to be? Not the version shaped by fear, but the one forged in fire. The 50th Law is not a lesson, it's a revolution, and your new life starts now. The 50th Law, Part 1, The Fearless Foundation. Chapter 1, Fear, the Real Enemy. Right from the start, the 50th Law grabs you by the collar and whispers a truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Fear is the master manipulator. 50 Cent, born Curtis Jackson, grew up in the unforgiving streets of South Jamaica, Queens. His mother was a drug dealer, and she was murdered when he was just 8 years old. He didn't get a soft landing. He got survival training. The streets became his classroom, and fear became his greatest teacher. But here's the twist. Instead of letting fear control him, he turned it into fuel. This is where the 50th Law is introduced. Fearlessness. Fearlessness isn't recklessness. It's clarity of action in spite of risk. The first thing the book wants you to realize is that fear, especially the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown, is the invisible fence around your potential. The moment you become aware of it, you can break free. Greene writes. Your fears are a kind of prison that confines you within a limited range of action. The less you fear, the more power you will have and the more fully you will live. 50 Cent learned this by facing real bullets, not just metaphorical ones. After being shot 9 times and surviving, he stopped fearing death, and in that moment, he became truly free. Chapter 2. Embrace reality, don't flinch. Fearlessness begins with truth. This chapter slaps the fantasy out of you and demands that you look the world straight in the face. Most people avoid reality. They sugarcoat, they romanticize, they chase illusions, but 50 Cent, he embraced reality like a weapon. When he left the drug game to chase music, he didn't sit around waiting for a record deal. He bootstrapped his rise, creating mixtapes, building street credibility, and calling out big names in the industry. Every move was based on what was not what he wished would be. The lesson: power comes from accepting the world exactly as it is, not how you hope it'll be, whether it's in business, relationships, or personal development. Stop flinching, stop fantasizing, get cold, get clear, get real. This is the step where most people fall off. They're too soft to stare down their own lives. But if you can do this, if you can look the world in the eye without blinking, you're already ahead of 90% of people. Chapter 3. Turn shit into sugar. Now we're deep in the mindset. Fearlessness and realism are in place. So what do you do with adversity? You transform it. This chapter is about alchemy, not the medieval kind, the psychological kind, the ability to take pain, loss, rejection, and failure and make it work for you. 50 Cent got blacklisted by the entire music industry after being shot. Labels wouldn't touch him. He could have quit. Instead, he made Guess Who's Back, a mixtape that reignited the streets. It caught Eminem's attention, who who brought in Dr. Dre, and the rest is music history. He took rejection and turned it into a storyline. He made himself the underdog everyone wanted to root for. And fear, the takeaway, your greatest advantage is your ability to reframe pain. Every setback is material, raw fuel. If you can adopt this mindset, life becomes a playground instead of a prison. Chapter 4. Keep moving, the hustler's flow. The final chapter of this first part is pure energy. It's about momentum, in the hood, in business, in life. If you're not moving, you're dying. Hustlers know this. 50 Cent knew this from the jump. He didn't wait around for permission. He created his own momentum, built his own opportunities, and never stopped moving. The book draws a parallel between the streets and the boardroom. The top dogs are always in motion, always evolving. The moment you sit still, you become a target. This is where you start understanding that fearlessness isn't just about confrontation. It's about constant adaptation. Always be moving forward, even if it's 1 inch at a time. The 50th Law, Part 2. The Inner Game of Power. Chapter 5. Know the terrain. Master the environment. By this point, you've confronted fear and learned how to keep moving. Now, we enter the mind of the tactician, the person who knows how to read the game, not just play it. 50 Cent didn't survive the streets or thrive in business by brute force alone. He studied people, he studied trends, he read the room before he ever opened his mouth. Greene compares this to military strategy. The best generals never charge blind. They learn the terrain first. 50 knew the music industry was full of ego and fragility. So what did he do? He disrupted it. He started public feuds with artists like Ja Rule. Not randomly, but strategically, he made himself the villain people loved to hate. He knew exactly how to manipulate the market psychology. The lesson: be observant, be calculating, know your battlefield. This applies whether you're navigating a toxic workplace, launching a product, or managing relationships. Pay attention to the dynamics, the players, the unspoken rules, and play the long game. Chapter 6. Respect the process. Mastery over time. Now we get to the truth most people skip. Mastery takes time. Real greatness is built, not inherited. 50 Cent isn't just a rapper, he's an actor, a producer, a businessman. He didn't master all that overnight. He worked at it like a craftsman, constantly sharpening his edge. He read scripts, studied dialogue, learned distribution, and negotiated deals. Greene highlights the key to this chapter. Respect the grind. Don't chase hacks or shortcuts. Develop what he calls tactical patience. Let's say you're working on a dream. Maybe it's a creative project or a business. Everyone around you seems ahead. That feeling of being behind. That's where most people quit. But if you can fall in love with the process, not just the outcome, you'll outlast them. Mastery is about stamina, the mindset. You're building an empire, not a lemonade stand. Train like it. Chapter 7. Push beyond limits. Lead with boldness. Here's where 50's story takes a turn into fearless leadership after being signed by Eminem and blowing up with Get Rich or Die Tryin'. Most artists would have coasted, not 50. He reinvented himself over and over, from music to movies to fashion to television. Why? Because he's not just a performer, he's a power broker. This chapter hits on a crucial trait: boldness. Bold leaders don't ask for permission. They take risks, even when others tell them to play it safe. And because they move decisively, they pull people into their vision. But here's the kicker: boldness isn't just about big moves, it's about owning your space. Speaking up, launching when you're not ready, posting the work even when it's not perfect. 50 didn't wait for approval. He declared himself great, and then worked until the world caught up. The big idea: confidence attracts, fear repels. Be bold, especially when it feels uncomfortable. Chapter 8. Calculated aggression. Move first, move smart. Now we go primal. In business, music, and life, aggression isn't a bad word. It's misunderstood. This chapter teaches us how to be strategically aggressive, how to act instead of react, how to stay ahead of threats, and how to make the first move with precision. 50 Cent didn't sit around waiting for competitors to undercut him. He struck first. When he noticed a brand or a person was becoming a potential threat, he'd either neutralize them, partner with them, or outshine them, but never passively. This is where fearlessness becomes tactical. You can't afford to be passive in a world that rewards bold action. You have to be on offense, not defense. And here's the secret sauce: Be aggressive, but smart, never emotional. That's where most people mess up. They lash out in anger, but 50, he strikes with precision like a chess master, not a brawler, the code. Don't wait to be attacked. Build your empire with your fists out and your brain on. The 50th Law, Part 3, The Psychology of Power. Chapter 9, Self-Belief. Create your own myth. You can have talent, hustle, connections, but if you don't believe in yourself more than anyone else does, you'll always be vulnerable. That's the core of this chapter. Control the story, or the world will write it for you. 50 Cent didn't wait for the media or the industry to define who he was. He crafted a persona, a myth rooted in resilience, survival, and fearlessness. He became a symbol. And once he had that identity, he wore it like armor. This chapter isn't about arrogance, it's about conscious identity building. You decide what you stand for, you choose the image you want to reflect, and once you choose, you own it ruthlessly. Real talk. The most powerful people in the world operate through myths. Think Steve Jobs' mystique. Think Oprah's origin story. Think 50's Street to CEO journey. The myth is your most powerful tool of persuasion, and it starts with unshakable self-belief. Chapter 10. Don't get emotional. Detach and dominate. Here's where most people lose the game. They get too emotional. They react instead of respond. They get caught up in pride, envy, frustration, ego, and just like that, they hand over power. This chapter is a masterclass in emotional detachment, not cold-heartedness, but calm, clear control. When you're triggered, you become easy to manipulate, but when you stay cool, you become unpredictable and dangerous in the best way. 50 Cent mastered the art of staying unshaken, whether it was beef with rivals or betrayal by insiders. He didn't let emotion dictate the next move. He let logic and strategy lead the way. The law here is simple. Never let anger, fear, or ego make your decisions. Detachment is the superpower that allows you to move like a king, not a pawn. Chapter 11. Lead the tribe, be the cause, not the effect. Once you've mastered your own psychology, it's time to influence others. This chapter teaches you to lead from the front, not by force, but by becoming the source of energy, vision, and belief. People are drawn to clarity, to boldness, to certainty. 50 understood this and created a movement around his brand. G-Unit wasn't just a group, it was an identity. He gave people something to belong to. The key here, don't chase influence, embody it. When you live your values out loud, fearlessly, you attract followers who resonate with that energy. They don't follow you because you demand it. They follow you because you inspire it. Actionable takeaway. Ask yourself, am I reacting to life or creating it? Start acting like a cause and stop being an effect of everything around you. Chapter 12. Respect death. Live urgently. Move decisively. This final chapter in Part 3 hits like a gut punch. It reminds us of the one truth no one escapes. You're going to die. But instead of using that as a fear trigger, the 50th Law flips it into fuel. 50 Cent had a gun pointed at his face. He's been shot 9 times. He lost people close to him. For him, death wasn't abstract. It was close. And instead of shrinking from that, he used it to live with urgency. This chapter's message: stop acting like you've got forever. We procrastinate because we think we'll always have more time. But once you accept mortality, you stop wasting energy on fear, hesitation, and overthinking. You start making bolder moves, faster decisions. You start saying what you mean, building what matters. Daily mantra. Live like it's all on the line, because it is. The 50th Law, Part 4. Freedom, Power, and Legacy. Chapter 13. Make everything your own. Be the entrepreneur of your life. This chapter is the heart of the 50th Law. It's about taking full ownership of your path, not just in business, but in your mindset, your time, your energy, and your story. 50 Cent didn't stop at being an artist. He became a producer, executive, and owner. He partnered with Vitamin Water and walked away with millions when it sold to Coca-Cola. That move, it wasn't luck, it was vision, ownership. He didn't just want a seat at the table, he wanted to build the table, and here's the punch. 50. Learned early that security is an illusion. The only real power is ownership. In your job, your finances, your creative work. Are you owning it, or just renting space in someone else's dream? The mindset shift. Stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like an owner. even if you work for someone else. Own your time. Own your reputation. Own your next move. Chapter 14. Force Multiplication. Find power in aligned alliances. Nobody climbs alone, even 50 who embodies independence. Understood the power of alliances. The key, though, is alignment. You don't need more people, you need the right people. This chapter dives into the art of multiplying your power by choosing relationships that amplify your strengths, not dilute them. When 50 aligned with Eminem and Dr. Dre, it wasn't just talent stacking talent, it was a power move, a calculated bond that elevated his brand while preserving his identity. Whether it's friends, mentors, partners, or your crew, this chapter says, don't align for comfort, align for acceleration. Ask yourself, who around me sharpens my edge? Who dulls it? Your circle is either fuel or friction. Choose wisely. Chapter 15. Elevate above the crowd. Think and live on a higher level. This chapter is about rising above noise, fear, and mediocrity, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. Most people live stuck in survival mode, chasing likes, chasing drama, chasing paychecks, but the fearless, they think long-term. They make decisions not for today, but for 10 years from now. Legacy moves. 50 stopped caring what people thought a long time ago. He started building platforms, creating opportunities, making content that would outlive him, and that's the core of this chapter. Elevation. Fearless living is about choosing to play at a higher level, where your values, your vision, and your voice aren't compromised for comfort. Bottom line. Stop thinking small. Stop reacting. Start operating like a force, like a future icon. The conclusion. The 50th law, fear nothing. And now we arrive at the core law that wraps it all together. Fear nothing. Every chapter, every story, every principle boils down to this. The people who dominate life are not the ones with the most talent or luck, but the ones who've destroyed fear at its root. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss, fear of being alone, fear of the unknown. 50 Cent's entire life, from being shot 9 times, to rising through the rap world, to conquering the boardroom, is one long, raw, honest reminder that everything you want is on the other side of fear. And the 50th law, it's not just for street hustlers or entrepreneurs. It's for anyone who's tired of playing small, tired of waiting, tired of shrinking their life to fit other people's opinions. It's for you, if you're ready to move differently, boldly, fearlessly. Final message. You don't need more time, more validation, or more approval. You need more courage. Let the lessons of the 50th law sink into your bloodstream. Study your world like a general. Act with boldness. Master your emotions. Own your path. Build like a boss. And never, never be controlled by fear. Read the book to learn more. Thanks for listening to Book Buzz reviews and summaries.